Well, hello once again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of In Conversation, our Claresholm Public Library conversations with people of interest in and around Claresholm. And today we have a very special guest. I'm David Paulson, and I'm going to be chatting with Mr. Chris Sadleir. And, well, I'm not going to say very much about it because we're going to find out all about Chris during the course of our conversation. But Chris, first of all, welcome to In Conversation, and thanks for taking the time to join us.
David, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here. I look forward to answering some questions and painting the picture of what we're trying to do here.
Well, and what we're trying to do here, of course, is a charity walk for the Alberta Lung Association that is called Walk to Breathe. It's something that's meant a lot to you. But before we get to the walk, let's talk a little bit about Chris Sadleir when he's not conducting a charity walk. Where are you, and what sorts of things are you doing with your life right now?
Sure. I'll paint a little bit of a picture here. I am an Alberta boy, born and raised in Calgary for 19 years. I spent some of my formative years down in Lethbridge. I went to college in Lethbridge, so very familiar with the Southern Alberta corridor. And for the last 21 years, I've been up here in Edmonton. So that's where you're talking to me now. Working a full-time job as well as putting this all together and training for this. We'll get into that a little bit more, but yeah, it's not quite enough hours in the day these days, but it's fun and it's all for a great cause. So Alberta boy, born and raised, which is sort of the reason behind this this initiative, which for all intents and purposes is a province-wide push for sure.
Now it's called Walk to Breathe. So now let's talk a little bit about the genesis of the charity walk and why you're doing this and how it came about that you wanted to do this.
Sure. I'll try and condense this as best as possible. I guess the best place to start is at the beginning, right? It started about 6.5 years ago, I would say. My father was diagnosed with IPF, which is idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. That's a lung disease. Unfortunately, there's no known cause for it, and certainly no known cure. The only cure for my father was a life-saving double lung transplant. So, as you may know, with any kind of transplant, you go on the list, and there's no guarantees you're going to get that call. So we can, talk a little bit about the importance of organ donation and stuff like that throughout the interview. But he was on oxygen, struggled to breathe for a better part of 1.5 to 2 years once he was diagnosed. He was on oxygen. And David, if you've ever seen a human being struggle to breathe, it's pretty scary. It's very scary. It's devastating to watch, especially if it's a close family member, a friend, a colleague, whatever the case may be. Human beings are not meant to struggle to take in air. So that was devastating to watch that, emotionally, physically, mentally draining for my father, but as well as, the entire family and friends. So long story short, my father got the call in July of 2016. He got the call for the lung transplant, went through that ordeal. He's still with us today. He'll be celebrating 5 years with a great new set of lungs this July, which we'll get to as part of the walk as well. So, through that whole process of learning, stuff that I never thought I'd have to learn in my life, the stats about lung disease, the far-reaching effects of lung disease, especially with IPF and my father, I became close with the Lung Association over the last few years. And I just decided to put a habit of mine, which is power walking. I like to walk at a pretty good pace, get my exercise in, clear my head when I'm walking, that kind of stuff. I thought, let's do this for a good cause. And last year, I approached the Lung Association, said, look, I want to walk from Calgary to Edmonton. So last year's Walk to Breathe was Calgary to Edmonton, over 330 kilometers. Very successful. We had an initial goal that we wanted to hit. We hit that goal about halfway through our walk last year. We upped the goal and ended up raising a ton more. So, a lot of people thought that was a once in a lifetime opportunity, raise awareness as well as the funds, because really the awareness is what needs to get heightened for the Lung Association as well. It's just grossly underfunded. People don't know everything that falls under the Lung Association umbrella. So we can touch on that in a few moments as well. But essentially, I approached the Lung Association this year and I said, look, I think I got one more year left in me. It made sense because of my father's 5-year anniversary. I always say that the inspiration for this comes from my father. The determination of doing it is for all Albertans. So 5 years is the celebration this year. 500 kilometers is our distance this year from Lethbridge to Edmonton. And our goal this year also includes fives, which is $50,000 that we want to raise, as well as the heightened awareness, make sure people are understanding of everything that falls under the Lung Association umbrella and how far-reaching and devastating it really is.
So let's talk a little bit about the logistics of the walk itself, because, people see, runs and walks for charity, and oftentimes there's a big entourage and stuff, but that isn't really the case with you, Chris. It's kind of you and one vehicle, and you're out there.
Yeah, you nailed it. And I'm glad you touched on that, because when I launched this last year, a lot of my colleagues at work and some of my friends said, "Oh man, that's great, good for you, walking 330 kilometers, that's fantastic." But in the back of their mind, and I didn't realize this at the time, in the back of their mind they were thinking that I was part of one of those relays, a team relay, where people would take different shifts and walk for 5 kilometers, and then someone else would do it, and all that. Once I realized that wasn't a clear understanding, and I explained it to them, they're like, you're walking that full distance all on your own? I said, yep. Picture me on the highway, nothing behind me for the entire duration except an RV, which is our support vehicle, vital for the rest and recuperation, taking breaks, obviously sleeping there. Last year, side note, is my parents, because my mom, I can't forget that either. My mom, she was my dad's rock, the rock for the entire family through my dad's ordeal. So my dad and my mom were the driver and the passenger behind me, literally behind me every step of the way last year. They were the only ones driving the RV vehicle. So that was, living together with my parents in an RV for 11 days. I don't know how I got myself into that, but it worked out great. Wouldn't have changed it for the world. This year, same thing. It's just me walking a little bit further, a little bit different route. I'll have one support vehicle behind me. It's an RV provided by Carefree RV here in Edmonton. They helped out last year as well, and they've been fantastic through the whole thing. Unfortunately, my parents are going to be involved a good chunk of it, including the final day as we cross the finish line in Edmonton, almost to the minute that my dad rolled into the surgical suite 5 years ago. So symbolic that way. Unfortunately, my mom, my dad's health, they're in their 70s, right? 17 days on the road, living in an RV, not getting decent sleep, and the routine's out of whack. I couldn't put them through that this year for the whole duration, but they definitely want to be there. Unfortunately, my mom's got some of her own battles going on right now with her health, but hey, they're going to be with me every step of the way, and I'll be doing videos and tributes to them, because last year they became the rock stars, really, of the campaign. People stopped us on the side of the highway, wanted to talk to my dad because they were struggling with the same thing, or they know their father or their grandfather went through the same thing. They wanted to talk to my parents, get pictures with my parents, and I was like, hey guys, I'm here too. No, you know what? If I could do this without being the face of the campaign, I don't need any accolades, David. But it just so happens that nobody can tell the story like me. Nobody experienced it the way I did. Nobody has the vision for the walk like I do. So I'll gladly, take the interviews, take the request from people if they want pictures. But when my parents are there, they're definitely the focal point of it for sure.
You made an interesting point in conversation that you and I had earlier, and that is that, there's an awful lot of time when Chris Sadleir is out there on the highway and on the roadways, you're by yourself. It's you and the countryside and the road. How tough is that part of it, like the mental part?
It's, some people were joking with me last year. They said, well, it's not too bad then. You're just walking. You're not walking. You're not running a marathon or everything. You're not running a fast pace. It's just a nice leisurely walk. Well, first of all, I walk at a pretty good pace. I'm huffing and puffing pretty good. That's just the nature of my gait, just the way I walk. I'm usually pretty good. So I average about 30 kilometers a day. Okay. What is that? 18, maybe 18 and a half miles a day. So that's my daily route. Rain, snow, wind, it doesn't matter. It goes rain or shine. I find that the first 20 kilometers, and I'm not going to say they're easy, David, they're not. They're doable. It's that last 10, because I usually break it up into those three segments, right? 10 kilometers at a time. It's those last 10, usually around the 23, 24 kilometer mark I found last year. That's when my brain starts to wander a little bit. The fatigue sets in, the muscles start to hurt a little bit more. That's just normal. I know that going in. It's not, if it was easy, I'd find something more challenging to do. And I think that's why we got the support we did last year, because people realize, and I grew up in Alberta thinking, oh, it's pretty flat prairie province. There's a lot of hills on some of those back highways. There's a lot of hills, valleys, and a lot of, wind alleys and stuff like that. So, the weather can get pretty intense, not to mention the heat in July. I got to get prepared for that as well, right?
Now, you talked about the fact that this year you're starting in Lethbridge, so it's a longer walk. But the really good thing about that, from our perspective, of course, is it brings you to Claresholm. So, and that's happening on the 9th. Let's talk a little bit about, I know it's the 90 kilometer, I believe I'm right in saying that, Chris, the 90 kilometer mark of your walk. Let's talk a little bit about Claresholm and what's in store.
Yeah, so that'll wrap up our third day right around the 90 kilometer mark. So a little bit of backstory there. Again, growing up in Alberta, and my parents both grew up in Alberta. Their families are from Alberta. So I have relatives in Claresholm. My aunt Linda Sherman has lived in Claresholm for years and years. My uncle Kenny Sherman is in that area as well, and my cousins Lisa Martin and Shannon Thompson. They're all in there. So I had reached out to them saying, guys, paint a little bit of a picture of our route. We're going up the back highway from, Monarch to Barons to, Champion, Vulcan, that back highway, because it's illegal to walk on the QE2. So we do have to take those back highways, but I'd be remiss if I didn't pop in and see, Claresholm. It's a very supportive community. I reached out to my aunt and said, hey, do you want to take on a task of maybe rounding up some friends and getting a little rah as we come through? I'd love to do that. And she said, well, I'll do you one better. I'm going to put you in contact, both her and Doug Vogt at the Claresholm Free Press. Local press.
Rob, yes, Rob.
What did I say?
I'm sorry. Is that what, yeah, sir, yeah.
I don't know.
Sure.
I've got so many names in my head, and I don't mean any disrespect if I got that wrong. But no, they have both put me in contact with Mayor McPherson. If you don't know, if anybody on here doesn't know, Mayor McPherson's wife had a double lung transplant, which afforded her an extra 12 or so years of a nice life together with Mayor McPherson. Unfortunately, she's since passed on, but Mayor McPherson has been fantastic about rallying the troops. He sent out a province-wide message to all municipalities saying, hey, here in Claresholm, this is my story. It's something that means a lot to me. So we're supporting it. We're doing a rally. We're doing a fundraiser when they come through on July 9th. And he's challenged all municipalities in Alberta to do whatever they can in their community, just as a fun, lighthearted challenge. And that's resulted in Red Deer, Fort Macleod, Lethbridge. They're all, stepping up a little bit and saying, hey, how can we support? How can we do fundraisers? How can we add to the cause? So, Claresholm started out as an early one with relatives, and it's just taken on a life of its own. And we're very excited to get there because, 3 days into that, I'm going to be looking for a nice little rah, and it sounds like Claresholm between the community and the the mayor's office and everybody is excited for us to come through, and that means a lot to us for sure.
And of course, what's happening, just for our viewers as well, is that Chris will be arriving in Claresholm at Peace Lutheran Church at approximately 2:30 in the afternoon, and we're all going to gather in the parking lot there, along with the mayor, along with Rob Vogt from the local press, and folks can come out. We invite anybody that wants to come out and walk the last little piece of the Claresholm leg. from the church parking lot to Amundsen Park, where there'll be a reception for Chris. That will get underway at about 3 o'clock. So about 2:30 at the parking lot of the Peace Lutheran Church would be great. I know we're going to have a fire truck there. We're going to have some folks there. We're going to have, as you talked about, a little rah-rah and a little excitement. And because I think, first of all, we want to congratulate you on that portion of the walk. But also, I'm sure that a little encouragement as you get ready to set out on a whole lot more of that walk will be okay as well.
Little spirit lift is fantastic, and I mean, for me, I'm going to be coming into Claresholm again, rain or shine. Hopefully, that's a Friday too, if I remember correctly. Hopefully, that's just more incentive for families to come out. I know we've got a few things planned that haven't been confirmed yet, but we're hoping to rally with a barbecue. I know the mayor wanted to say a few words. I'll gladly answer any questions, take pictures. Of course, certainly don't want to sound like a vulture, but we will be taking donations for anybody that is able to support with donations. I think it'll just be a fun day to sort of kick off the weekend as a community, and then you can get us right out of your hair, and we'll be on to the next town.
So, Chris, just last question is, just give us the dates of the entire walk. I know you're coming through Claresholm on the 9th. When do you start? When do you wrap up in Edmonton?
Sure, great question. And you said final question. There's a couple things I want to touch on before we go as well. Just some of the stats and some of the history behind what the Lung Association does. So I can get into that in a moment as well. But as far as the walk this year, we were approached by a tremendous sponsor. They wanted to help us with some of our costs and their vision for their company sort of falls in line with that community spirit and community support. And that's House of Cars. You can see me sort of waving the flag on my shirt here. So the Walk to Breathe this year is driven by House of Cars. They've been fantastic. We've got other sponsors on board as well. And we really can't do that without them. I've got footwear. All my footwear has been donated. Quality footwear is obviously vital on something like this. The RV, as I mentioned, and some other sponsors. So, it's tremendous to do that. And that's the kind of support that really made me say, hey, I think I can do this another year. So I will be rolling into town, into Lethbridge on July 6th. We will be having a pre-event sort of rally at the Canadian Brew House in Lethbridge on the evening of July 6th. And then first thing in the morning, we start walking from House of Cars in Lethbridge on Mayor McGrath Drive. That's July 7th, 30 kilometers a day. I think takes us to Monarch and then into, I can't remember the exact, I'll gladly share with anybody that wants to know the daily routes. I'll be doing posts on social media and stuff as well. So it's a 17-day journey, 30 kilometers a day. That gets us into Edmonton about 5:30 p.m. On July 23rd. And again, that's 5 years to the day of my father's double lung transplant. So he will be crossing the finish line with me at that moment. I wouldn't let that slide by.
That is really tremendous. Now, I know you wanted to say a couple of things about the Alberta Lung Association and some of the things that have happened. Maybe speak to those things, Chris.
So the Lung Association, unfortunately, the Lung Association, lung disease is among the highest for morbidity and mortality of any disease. Lung disease is. Unfortunately, it's grossly underfunded, and it only receives about a third of the government funding that it needs to operate at the level that it wants to. So that's where the funds come into play, but really the heightened awareness. Unfortunately, there's a stigma about lung disease that, I've heard over the years is, well, if people didn't smoke, then they wouldn't have lung disease. So, in that respect, it's not a sexy charity, David, if that makes sense. It's not a sexy charity for people to support, like giving to children's charities, and of course, cancer and multiple sclerosis. They're all fantastic charities. Lung disease, people don't realize it's not an old smoker's disease. And I use this example because it happened a few weeks back. There was a little girl I saw, everyone's wearing masks over the last year. She was wearing the mask. She was young with the mask on. I don't know, was she 5, 6, was she 4? I'm not sure, but she was wearing the mask, but she also had an oxygen tube in her nose to help her breathe because she had severe asthma. So not only dealing with COVID like we all are, but struggling to breathe on a daily basis. Just this young girl that can't run around on the playground and play with her friends because of her asthma. Stuff like that it just breaks my heart. And I need people to understand that, people that have kids suffering from asthma, athletes that have to cut their career short because of lung disease. People don't realize everyday things that fall under the lung association umbrella, like bronchitis, the flu, asthma, obviously pneumonia and lung cancer. Those are the big ones. Sleep apnea is a huge one and potentially deadly, because if you have sleep apnea, and I know a lot of people that do suffer from that, you stop breathing many times throughout the day. That's a respiratory ailment, and that's all, any kind of respiratory ailments all fall under the lung association umbrella. So it is very far reaching. 1 in 5 Albertans, the stats are, first of all, in one generation, the lung disease in Alberta stats will grow by 50% in one generation. So it's not going away anytime soon. 1 in 5 Albertans will suffer some form of lung disease in their lifetime, which, as I mentioned before, struggling to breathe is mentally, physically, emotionally challenging and devastating. That's just for the people that have it, not to mention the ripple effect of everyone around them. So the 1 in 5 really goes out the window when, I can almost say with certainty that every Albertan in their lifetime will be affected in some way, directly or indirectly, by lung disease. And we just need to get the awareness up there. We need people to start thinking about it as a very viable and necessary charity to stay top of mind and eliminate some of the stigmas around it. Indigenous people disproportionately affected by lung disease, and I'm not sure why. That's part of my research. I know some of it, but disproportionately doesn't sit well with me. So what we're doing this year is trying to get the Indigenous community involved more. Every single pocket of Alberta, because physically, I would love to hit every town, every village, every hamlet, every nook and cranny of Alberta. Physically and timeline-wise, it's not possible to do that. But make no mistake about it, what I'm doing through the main corridor, Lethbridge to Edmonton, hitting as many places as I can, that's my route. But make no mistake about it, this is a necessary province-wide initiative, and we're getting lots of support from outside our route as well. So we need that support from everybody. We need to share on social media. We need to open that dialogue, and you know what? We need donations.
Well, Chris, first of all, I want to congratulate you on the initiative and what you've done previously and what you're about to do. It's so admirable, and you absolutely have the support of Claresholm folks. We're very excited that you're going to be in Claresholm. We're looking forward to meeting you on the 9th and helping out as much as we can with what is truly a great cause, and you're a great representative and a great fighter for that cause. So again, congratulations. And again, thank you so much for being with us on In Conversation today.
David, thank you very much. I'll just wrap up. If you don't mind, I'll give the website gives a little bit of the backstory, as well as it's the donation page. And that's easy to find at ab.lung.ca/walk to breathe. I'll make sure you have that link as well. People can follow me on social media, on Facebook at CK Sadleir. Twitter is Sadleir Chris, and my Instagram is Sads216. So I'll be posting updates along the route, videos, having some fun with it, all that kind of stuff, and really looking forward to this. I'm not sure what I've gotten myself into just yet. It's going to be grueling, but definitely looking forward to the challenge.
Well, all the best to you, Chris. And as I said, we're very much looking forward to seeing you here in Claresholm. All the best before and after your Claresholm stop. We'll see you on July the 9th, 2:30 at the Lutheran Church parking lot, 3 o'clock at Amundsen Park.
You will see me. I'll be looking different though, because I've actually, side note, I've been growing my hair and my beard since my walk started 1 year ago in last August. I don't know if it's going to hold up through the July heat. So I'll be clean shaven with short hair. So I'll be looking different, but feeling good. So I look forward to seeing you guys on July 9th in Clare.
All right. Thanks again, Chris. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, David. Take care.
You betcha. That's our time for now, friends. And don't forget to check us out on our YouTube channel for the Claresholm Public Library for this conversation and lots more. And until next time, I'm David Paulson saying so long, everybody. Thanks for watching.